his son, Edward Witten, decided that the 1984 Green-Schwarz anomaly cancellation meant that we should all the smartest people should pile into one narrow subspecialty, and that was the future. And because he was so much smarter than all of us, people listened, and I didn't. And Michio Kaku is part of his wave. Almost all of the people that you've traditionally had on in physics have some connection to this. So you've had on, I don't know, probably Sean Carroll, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Greene. Nobody wanted to say what was happening, which is that we were being unraveled and destroyed. Our ability to be the world's greatest theoretical physicist was being eroded year by year for 42 years.
And specifically, it was the pursuit of string theory?
It's not string theory itself that's the problem. String theory is harmless. It's just a bunch of equations, a bunch of ideas, and it's beautiful mathematics in many places. So that's not an issue. The issue is the exclusion of everything else. And this goes under the name TOGIT, or the only game in town, TOGIT. Mm-hmm. And it's this idea that only we, the enlightened, can do theoretical physics, and the rest of you are just doing finger exercises, and you're too stupid to know it.
So specifically, like, what's isolationist about string theory? Like, what is it about this one particular theory that all this thought has been pushed into that?
The claim is that there's this thing called UV complete physics. And there's no way that we can have a discussion about that directly. If I could ask Jamie, could I impose upon you to call up on YouTube Wheel of Fortune and then use I've got a good feeling about this? I can explain it to you.
Wheel of Fortune, I've got a good feeling about this?
I've got a good feeling about this.
Okay. Is that an episode of Wheel of Fortune?
It'll be over briefly. It's very, very quick. It's about a minute and a half or something. And the key point is it's a tight analogy for the problem faced in physics that anyone can understand. So people think I try to make things complicated. I really try to make them understandable. But what I do is I talk about things. I don't know that you've ever had anyone talk about UV completeness on the Joe Rogan Experience.
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this it? Okay, put your headphones on.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be able to hear it unless you have headphones on.
I know it like the back of my hand.
Wheel of Fortune.
We need a phrase this time. That's the category for this puzzle, and it is a prize puzzle. Go ahead, Rick.
Gladly.
And what do we get here? 500. R. Boy, you'd think there'd be an R in there somewhere, wouldn't you?
Oh, Rick.
Obviously, you called it. Caitlin.
L.
One L.
Did you really solve?
And what's that?
Can I solve?
Okay.
It is a prize puzzle.
Yeah,
I've got a good feeling about this.
that's right.
That's insane. That lady's a wizard.
That lady is what I want to do with my life. That is what great physics looks like. It's totally irresponsible. And, Pat Sajak is like trying to ask her, like, how'd you do that? And she says, well, I had a good feeling about this. And the funny part about it is you can figure it out. If you go back, Jamie, can you show the board right there? Yeah. So clearly that apostrophe is a huge clue, right? So the idea is that if you read that property, is it I'll? Is it I've? Right? And then there's no R. So think about all of those blank squares as orders of magnitude that you are away from the energies that would allow you to do experiments that would explain physics. And think about the apostrophe, the L in that pattern, as well as the fact that there's no R, as the standard model of physics. So right now, what you have is a debate about whether or not we should buy more and more letters with higher and higher energy. Or, like, should we build bigger accelerators and spend more treasure trying to collide particles? Or should we just Caitlin our way out of this? So Caitlin Burke is my model of what I think we're supposed to be doing. And
So an exceptional mind with an ability to see or propose things that other people aren't seeing.
how I guarantee you that if we studied this, if we spent a month with the world's smartest people on this puzzle, we'd learn that there are certain things that were present that, you know, the frequency of certain, the fact that there's a single letter there that almost certainly is I or A. She took a tiny number of clues. But here's the really important thing. Jamie, can we show the filled in puzzle? So you'll notice that the word this could be changed to that because the only letter that's been excluded is an R. So that is what the issue of unique UV completion is. In other words, a unique UV completion would say there's only one phrase that fits there. She guessed, she couldn't have known it isn't, I've got a good feeling about that, or I've got a nice feeling about this or that. So it's actually not, or I'll get a good feeling about this, but all of those were much less probable because they're just not as natural. So this is a combination of science, guesswork, and raw courage. Like the most marvelous thing about that exchange is she says, can I solve? And there's like, he's not even sure he's hearing her properly. And then finally he says, okay, that's gatekeeping. Can I put this article on the archive? Can I give a seminar in your department? I want to solve the puzzle. And a lot of what we're arguing about is that the string theorists are the only ones who have the right to try to solve the puzzle at the moment. So imagine that somehow there's a rule that only Rick, poor Rick, who guesses that there's an R, imagine that he's the only one allowed to solve the puzzle. And when she asks, may I solve the puzzle? No, you can't. That's pseudoscience. You're a charlatan. That is crank physics. So that's what the problem that we're facing is that we've got one group that got control of the gatekeeping, who is very good at mathematics, extremely bad at physics. And they've redefined what physics is and what good science is, where they're the only ones who are guessing the puzzle. They can't guess the puzzle. And everyone else is like, here's a crazy story from yesterday. I wasn't allowed to say that I gave a talk in the physics department, even though any normal person would say that that happened. And I wasn't allowed to do that when I visited a physics institution in Canada. I wasn't allowed to say that I was visiting for a week, nor was I allowed to say that I gave a seminar that lasted 9 hours.
But you just did.
Yeah.
Are you a lawbreaker?
I'm breaking the rules now because I've had it. I agreed to not do this, and with these missing scientists, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to deal with these people anymore. And whatever is going on with science and the suppression of different ideas is terrifying. Right now, we have a situation. I gave a talk at the University of Chicago. There's no record of it.